My name is Christopher Henry Staples. I'm gonna put my middle name in there. I am 35, just turned 35 March 14th, and I'm from Long Beach, California. And I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm a founder of the Compton Country Club initiative and also Compton Country Club, the brand, as well as the Pure Flight Golf Academy.
Can you tell me a little bit about your parents and where they came from? Like, how did they get to LA?
Yeah, so I'll start with my dad. My dad is from Danville, Illinois. It's a small town, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I want to say it's like southwest, and it's a very small town. I think it's like population 30,000, and it raised him, with values of community and serving. My dad put himself through school. He went to Western Illinois University, and his mom and dad couldn't read or write, and he was determined to get the heck out of Danville. So after Western, he jumped ship and moved to LA with nothing but a suitcase, so to speak, and just tried to figure it out. He got his degree in actually interior design, which was not in his career field, and it wasn't really his job field as he went on to become an entrepreneur. But he was a bouncer originally. He was into bodybuilding, so he came out here. He was bouncing at all the local clubs in LA, and then he came into basically partnering with this white gentleman named Steve Fry, and they created a business called Pacific Protection Services, which they had for, I believe, 38 years before he sold. And so God really blessed him with a very prolific and robust clientele with, having majority ownership of a lot of the Wells Fargo's in the area. And so he had Southern California, then he moved up to Central to Northern, and then he branched to Vegas. And then he was, right before selling, he acquired Citibank. And so he had all the private security there. So he had a really good business. And then my mom is from Topeka, Kansas, and she jumped ship to LA, and she's a singer. So my dad and my mom met in church. My dad said he loved my mom's voice. She was singing praise and worship, and the rest was history. And then I was conceived, and then they married, got divorced real quick. But my mom was a behavioralist. She still is. And so she was a hustler. That's all I knew growing up, is she was just hustling. And so she just dealt a lot with clients and stuff like that. So when I was younger, I was around a lot of people with high functioning autism. And so I think the similarities between the two is it's both service industries, right? So that kind of pushed me in a direction of servitude. So it's my parents in a nutshell.
And when it comes to like the hustle from your mother, the entrepreneurship aspect from your father, is that something that you adapted? Like, how did you?
Yeah. So I got it more so from my dad. Like, that's all I saw growing up. Like, my dad, early stages of his entrepreneur journey, when he started his company, he was taking me around, like, in the car. I'm sitting in the car seat. You know what I'm saying? There's still pictures that I see where we're on site at a job and I'm just sitting in the car. You know what I'm saying? I guess I was chilling. So I always saw him growing a business. So much so, like, he took me back and showed me, like, his annual earnings, and, like, the times where I thought he was rolling, he was not making that much money, bro. I was like, dang. He's like, son, you're way ahead of way ahead of where I was when I started my entrepreneur journey. So like, it was very encouraging, and that instilled in me like, the drive and I guess the desire to be an entrepreneur, and also like, uh how should I say, I think the belief, like you can do anything, like you can create what you want. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a lot of people get caught up in the rat race, and because there's a lot of naysayers and people downplaying what you can or can't do. And for me, I didn't have that. My dad did want me to go to the military. That was out. I'm like, bro, you're an entrepreneur. I'm not going to the military. Like, and I'm a creative at heart, so that was not going to happen. My mom, uh, was, although she was a hustler, she instilled the aspect of like you can be whatever you want to be. And so those two blending together, you can be whatever you want to be. My dad's an entrepreneur. Me just watching how he's going day to day and what it took for him to grow his business by the grace of God, like that through the roof. I like nobody could tell me nothing.
So that's crazy. So do you think that even though he wanted you to pursue this, do you think that you look back and say like, yo, what if I would have pursued the military, if I would have chose that life that he wanted for me?
Heck nah. I don't even think about that. Like my wife is military, she's active duty, so I get a good glimpse of like what that would be like, and I want zero parts. Although, you know, they're the consistency, right, with a constant paycheck and stuff like that, but the aspect of being bound or controlled, I hate that. And so for me, I wouldn't change my journey for the world. Like the struggles, uh, although it does get weary, being an entrepreneur gets weary. It's not made for everybody, but it creates resilience. It creates um, belief, and then for me, it's like belief in a higher power, obviously God, but I truly believe that I'm gonna make it. Like you might not see the vision, I see the vision. I don't need you to see the vision. Like I see it. So um, I think that's the dopest thing about that, and I'm super grateful for that experience.
So do you think that you mentioned God? Is it like, is that what keeps you going in this industry? Because I know how it is. Like me personally, as an entrepreneur myself, it could be hard,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? But then I think about me going to a job, and I know God will be like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think my circumstances have forced me, like with my wife having such a strict schedule, and not having the flexibility, it's kind of forced me into that space of entrepreneurship, which is a blessing, because um, I think as a man and as a provider, you like, I'm gonna just go, I'll work anywhere to make this bread. I'll work three, four, five jobs. Like that's what I know about my ancestors. My dad, like before he became an entrepreneur, that's what he did. He hustled. You know what I'm saying? He had multiple jobs. But you know, to your point, yeah, God gave me this vision that I need to execute, like, and I got to execute it by any means necessary. And so that's the push, that's the drive. It's like, when God gives you a vision, like, he gave Noah uh, a sound assignment, and it had to be. People were naysaying this man. They're like, this man's crazy. He building a boat, like wilding, like, but he had to execute, and it's kind of the same thing. It's the vision is big. It's somebody told me like a big, hairy, audacious goal. Like it's a big vision. It's a big dream. But when you got God on your side, like you just need to walk. And so when you walk, He leads, He guides. You just gotta walk by faith and trust that He gonna take you where you need to go. You might not know what it's gonna look like. You might not know what the road's gonna look like, and the dirt, the terrain, and stuff that you have to go through. But at the end of the day, like you got to walk. And so I'm walking, man.
So tell me before leading up to you getting into golf and things like that, like who introduced you to it? One, but tell me a little bit about yourself, like like your past from like middle school, high school. Like how was life? How was life?
Bro, life was honestly a little bit chaotic. Like, so as I stated earlier, my parents married and got divorced before I was even born. And so immediately I had a two-parent household. I grew up with a stepdad. He was a great dude, um, kind of fun guy. And he taught me how to hoop. He coached my basketball games, and, he coached football for us. So, um, me as a child, oh shoot, I was very secretive, and that probably led to like me as an adult, like early on into my adulthood. But I was very secretive. I like did things like low key. I was very uh, promiscuous. Like I think I got introduced to like hypersexuality at a very young age. I was also molested when I was young, and so that on top of seeing my dad like be a bachelor, like only amplified that, so to speak. So that led me to like being between two-parent households. So I'm moving back and forth. Like um, we lived in Harbor City, California. Then we moved to Lakewood. Like we were just always on the move. So I was accustomed to like being on the move. And then a big chunk of my childhood and growing up was in Long Beach. So I say I'm from Long Beach. That's Long Beach raised me and kind of made me. And so lived in Long Beach, and then went to a predominantly white high school called Los Alamitos High School, which I started my golf journey, which I was introduced to the game by my dad's ex business partner who actually passed away. His name was Steve Fry. He got me my first set of clubs when I was 7. I was like, golf is corny. I'm not about to play golf. I was hooping, playing basketball. And then we moved across the street from a golf course in Long Beach called Rec Park 9. And my mom was like, you can't be in the house during the summer because I had football practice. After football practice, it was done at noon. And so I went home, and she was like, you got to get out. So I took this little 7-year-old set to the golf course, and I got hooked because I was so trash. And so that led me to playing at Los Alamitos. Was at Los Alamitos for 2 years. Then I transferred to Esperanza, which is that was way less diverse than Los Alamitos. I thought Los Alamitos was not diverse. I went from from white high school to whiter high school, and it I think the beauty of that, though, kind of segue, is that it allowed for me to be able to adapt and to be able to speak the language, to be able to move in a way that not ignorant. It made me culturally aware. It allowed for me to get a glimpse of like what our societal norm is, which is like the majority uh, of our society in high-ranking positions are led by white males usually. And so it allowed for me to be able to speak in these different rooms. That led me to uh, you know playing a year at a JUCO at Cypress College, and I was dabbling all over the golf industry. I had pro golf dreams, which fell short because I was a lady chaser. I love the women, so that was like my uh, downfall. I was just out. I mean, I was just out here, man. I had a lot of resentment towards my dad because I felt like I could have been great in the golf space if he just supported me, and he wasn't. He was more about school, which I'm proud of, but like going back to the entrepreneurship, like you're an entrepreneur, like support me in my entrepreneurial journey, which golf is, you're your own boss. And so I had a lot of resentment, and uh I moved in that. I allowed that to dictate my movements, and force me into situations where I made some poor choices growing up. And um but that all led me to chasing this different golf dream. And God has honestly had his hand on my life since jump. I would have never, ever, if it wasn't for my dad's business partner, he could have never been business partners with this guy. And if it wasn't for Steve, I wouldn't be introduced to the game. I wouldn't have been able to have the experiences that I have had. I wouldn't have been able to play the golf courses that I've been able to play. I wouldn't be in the position now where now I'm leading a nonprofit that uh, is pushing the narrative of exposure to our community via golf, and affordability and accessibility via golf, and so I feel very very blessed by that.
So, what do you think golf has given you in return?
Life. Golf has given me life. I feel like I could have died a lot of times in my life based on my decisions and the choices that I've made. Golf has given me purpose. Um, God has strategically put me in the golf space to connect, to serve. And it's being a coach is I think you can wear it two ways, right? You can leverage it and make a lot of money, or you can use it as a tool to minister. You know what I'm saying? To connect to people. And I think what I do is try to build relationships, and building relationships also allows for people to take a deeper perspective into who I am, and then they kind of learn about my faith. I'm not a big believer on, like, especially in this day and age, like a Bible thumping people a lot, because everybody's so guarded and kind of turned off to Christianity. There's also like this Christianity fad where it's like Christianity's cool in the prosperity aspect. So I try to walk in discernment and be led by the Spirit. And if God wants me to say something, I'll say something. But most of the time, I'm just trying to allow people to get to know who I am, know my character, and in knowing my character, they'll understand like who's the driver of my character.
So, who introduced you to God?
I grew up in the church. My mom has ultimate prayer warrior. I grew up. I was born in the church. Literally, I grew up playing drums in the church. Um, I grew up singing in the kids choir, King's Kids Choir, and yeah, my mom, she has kept me grounded in my worst moments. Like she's been all when I strayed away from God, she was always there to pray for me. She was always there to encourage me, to ground me in a sense when I didn't have like a spiritual connection. I wasn't like seeking God for myself. She encouraged me to chase that. My dad, although he had a form of spirituality early on, like he wasn't the one that encouraged me to chase after God. It was my mom. Um, so yeah, shout out to moms.
So, when you did stray away, what made you come back?
The world is chaotic. Um, Almost losing my life. Um, Making terrible decisions. Making money. Like I made a lot of money in my life and ran through it, and just like searching for that phrase, searching for love in all the wrong places. Like I was looking for love in all the wrong places, women, partying, um, doing drugs, and none of that stuff gave me peace of mind. It was just a void filler. And as I got older, honestly, I had a moment in 20 2018 when I was contemplating suicide. Married, um, we were we were married. Me and my wife got married in 2014, so we're 4 years in marriage. I'm doing diabolical things, infidelity, and all these different things, and I just felt worthless. I was like, man, like I'm not. I what am I doing? Like uh, I'm better off dead. You know what I'm saying? And There was this moment where I was at this lake in New Jersey, and I was sitting by the lake, and I was just like, because I went growing up in church, and I think this is like there's this. th- I went to what they call a holiness church, which is like Pentecostal apostolic, and I think viewing people and putting people on pedestals, and people walk around with this aura about them that they got everything all together and they're good, like they've never been anything, like, oh, I've never sinned, I don't do that, like, and these are people that I thought loved me and claimed that they loved me, but they also were very mean to me and rude to me when I left and came back to church. I was sitting at this lake, and I was like, Lord, I don't really know what to say. And I don't have these like profane, like these not profane, but like these profound words. Like, I don't know how to pray like those people that I grew up watching pray. I said, but if you're real, like, you have to change my heart because it's really dark right now and I want to kill myself. And this like peace, when the Bible says he'll give you a peace that surpasses all understanding. In that moment, I realized what that was. And he gave me a peace. I just cried. And I just sat there, and he just said, talk to me like I'm one of your friends. And so I did that. I said, Lord, I'm wicked. I do a lot of hurtful things, but I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want my marriage to end. I just started confessing. And right then my mind changed, bro. My mindset changed. All the things, like, being saved early, like all the things that I've been through in my walk with God, and like my insecurities, like all that stuff was just gone. And he just comforted me in that moment. It's like, hey, I got you. Like, just walk with me. And so ever since then, man, like, the walk has been a grind, but it's been so worth it, man. Like so worth it.
Do you think that being molested like attributed to other things in your life, and then also why or what made you not give on God because that happened to you?
Mm. Uh yeah, the molestation, it happened early, man. I think I was like 4 years old, and I don't, I don't, I think it impacted me in such a way to where, like I said, it made me extremely hypersexual. Um, it impacted my relationships. Um, it impacted what I thought love was, which in reality was lust. Um, it really warped my mind, bro. If I could be completely transparent, man, because I had this. I chased for that. I yearned for that. I yearned for uh, that physical touch and that hypersexuality. Like, I felt like that if I shoot, this is crazy. Felt like if I don't get sex, like, you don't love me, and that's impacted my marriage in such a way where I have this unrealistic expectation of what sexual intimacy is. And it's something that God is still working in and out of me to this day, where I have to really pray about when those thoughts come up of like, man, like, well, like, some people go through little droughts and stuff like that with sex because it's life, and but like, it really weighs on me, bro. Like, it's like, man, you don't love me, like, you ain't giving me no bonds, like, and that's not the reality. It's so for me, the molestation has really impacted my perspective of what love is. Now, when like the second part of that question, I just always yearned for the presence of God. Like when I had like the experience of his presence, I yearn for that, bro. Like his presence, bro, is crazy. And his presence, bro, like changed my life, man. His presence changed my life, bro. So I yearn for that. I yearn for that. Uh, I yearn to feel comfort, and I knew he was real. I knew he was real, and I yearned for that. And so, regardless of what I went through, I wanted to feel his presence. I wanted to feel that. And his presence compared to sexual satisfaction, there's no comparison. Like, I can be in his presence. Like, if I'm searching for him, I'm, I'm in my word. I'm like really trying to find him and his presence come, it can sit with you for such a long time. Whereas like the sexual gratification is like you get your nut off, you done. Like, okay, like back to business as usual. But being in his presence, bro, changes your life, bro. So to ask you a question, man, like I always yearn for that. I felt his presence. I may have not been able to articulate it, what it was, but as I got older, I'm like, dang, like the presence of God. Like when you're going through your worst moments and you're praying and you're seeking God and you're fasting or you're doing all these things and God just comforts you and he's like, I got you. Like, don't even worry about it. That's a game changer. I couldn't turn on that. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't like walk away from that. I couldn't uh be mad at God because I was molested. Like I think yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's part of my experience. Like I wish sometimes I didn't have to go through like the thoughts and the urges and the hypersexuality, but like I know I can surrender it to someone, you know. I can surrender it to him and he'll take care of it.
In terms of foundation and family, how did you meet your wife?
Man, uh my so me and my wife, so my mom and her mom were pregnant at the exact same time together, grew up in church together. We're exactly 3 months apart. So I'm March 14th. She's June 14th, 1990. And so we grew up, we didn't really talk, which is the funny thing. Like we didn't interact when we were younger. Like she was around, like I knew about her, but we didn't talk. And it wasn't until like 2014, I was getting out of a relationship. Like, uh, it was a kind of a toxic relationship. Same thing for her. And I actually, this is funny. So I go to church with my ex. We're going to my church. Like, mind you, like I was in this relationship. I'm like going wild, drugs, like living that fast life. And so I'm like, I did not want to go to church. I'm like, these people are gonna sniff that I'm wilding. Like, you know what I'm saying? So one night we go to church. We pull up. My ex at the time, she goes to the restroom, um, and I'm waiting outside the restroom, and then my wife Monique comes out. I'm like, whoa, like what's up? What's up? She was looking like a baddie. I was like, yo. And immediately then, God told me that was my wife. And so uh we, our relationships dissolved. Well, truth be told, man, like I was still kind of talking to my ex in the midst of talking to, my now wife. And um yeah, we got married like, what was that, like 8 months later? Not even 8 months, 6 months. We met in March. Yeah. 9 months. We met in March and we got married in October. And so uh, it was a little bit fast. We didn't do the proper marriage counseling and all the different things, but uh, when we got married, man, I put her through the ringer, bro. And now God has granted us 10 years of marriage, man. Like, God willing, October will be at 11. And she's my ride or die. She holds me down. She prays for me. She lets me be myself, my sporadic, chaotic, creative self, and she encourages me, and she loves me down. She cooks for me. That's why I'm extra fluffy now. And she's an amazing mother, and I'm just very blessed, man. Like she when I was going through the suicidal aspect, she was praying for me. Like, in the midst of me being uh, a full demon, she prayed for me that entire time, for my mindset, for God to restore me, to keep me, even when I wasn't around. So, shout out to wifey, man. She's amazing.
So how how is it that like God uses golf for you, right? So when did you receive the vision for Compton Country Club to to do this work, to create the nonprofit? Like, when did you receive this, and what made you say yes?
So I think there's a little bit of a backstory. So I had a friend that passed away in 2019. His name was Cody Matthews. Um, I met him back when I was living with my mom in Costa Mesa, California, and we used to talk about. He was biracial also, but he was from Rialto, California, so he had a real black experience, and we used to talk about creating a uh, safe haven and a introductory aspect for underserved kids to be exposed to golf. And at the time, he was like uh, doing stuff with Steve Harvey. Like, Steve Harvey has this Marjorie and Harvey Foundation, and they would bring him out. He would help with the kids and play golf with Steve, and so it was the inception was there. Like, that's the dream. I think that was the God dream when it started. When we moved to Sacramento in 2020, um, God was kind of moving and pushing in areas I didn't really realize, but I got this job. I was able to grow this youth golf community, but there was still a lack of representation for, uh, you know, underserved youth and people of color in the golf space. And so, after about 13 months into that job, I quit. After discussing with my wife, and I'm like, yo, like, I need to do my own thing to make the impact that I want to make. And then I started hearing about, I had heard about the Compton golf course, which is a golf course I grew up playing, because I was looking for more minorities to play with when I was younger. I heard about the golf course closing in 2020, and I was like, oh, okay, dang, it's closed. But when it came up to us renewing our orders, and I found out that we were possibly going to come back to LA, um, I started doing my due diligence. I was like, okay, like, this golf course is still closed. It's been closed for 3 years. Like, how can I leverage my network in the community that I've accumulated over however so many years, me being in the golf industry, and impact Compton? Originally, the idea was to create a for profit, because that's kind of what I was. Um, I was privy to, because I already had started my LLC with my golf academy. So I was like, okay, I know how the for profit nature works. And then as I started doing my research and started, interviewing different individuals that kind of did something similar, I realized that in order to make the type of impact that I want to make, it had to be a nonprofit. And in order to have the impact that I wanted to have, it had to be a nonprofit. So, by the grace of God, like, with the network that I had, One of my boys, shout out Paul Naji, like he's my dog. He's like one of my mentors in the golf space, and he is like, yo man, like he he was like, I have somebody that you might want to meet, and he might be able to help. Ended up being blessed with this individual that works for Dwayne Moore's LLP. They are one of the largest attorney offices and firms in the nation. They're global, and they built my nonprofit pro bono. So they made it super airtight. I mean, that was a long process. But I'm super grateful. Like when I say God, like strategically, like I prayed, I said, Lord, I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how it's going to get done, but I need you to do it. And I said, I need you to send me the people because I need help. And I'm a big proponent of growing with people, and I never want to do anything alone. So when I say God just started dropping people to execute certain things, it was just it was crazy, like all over the place. And so that led to um, Compton Country Club initiative being established in 2024, early 2024, man. And we've been able to create some impact aside from like, putting together a proposal for the golf course, but we've been able to create some impact in the community where people are really uh, seeing the vision. And then, in tandem, uh, everybody sees the hats, right? And so like the brand was never it was never meant to be a brand. I created the first Compton Country Club hat as a pride of ownership for Aaron Grimes, who's a professional golfer out of Compton, the only professional golfer to ever come out of Compton. And I wanted him to have something that uh, he could take pride in because he's wasn't getting sponsorships. I was like, man, like I'm gonna just make a hat, and or the original idea was to make all these like fictitious golf courses for these underserved communities, and the mindset behind that was like a perspective shift, right? Attaching uh, country club to Compton, it raises eyebrows, right? And there's this prestige when you think about a country club, and there's this like you think about money or you think about big houses, you think about all these different things that correlate with a country club, and I wanted to the people of Compton to take pride in like their city. Like it's like, hey, you don't just have to be a basketball player, a football player, a rapper. You can also do something in the golf industry if you wanted to. You could be a golf architect. You can be whatever you want to be, essentially. And so the idea was to create something that shifted the perspective internally while also shifting the perspective externally. So people that think about Compton, the only thing they think about Compton is NWA or hip hop culture or like the riots or gang violence or stuff like the negative perception, but really really trying to get the people externally to understand like there's a lot of beautiful things in Compton, and so. That's how the kind of the idea of the hat. So the hat led to some individuals reaching out to me and we're like, hey man, we want to support, like we want to help you with the brand. They are now my partners. Shout out to Par Six. They've been able to leverage the brand and do things and do all the content and all these different things. And so shout out to them for pushing the brand. Yeah, but my vision is really pushing the nonprofit, like the nonprofit aspect, and giving back and exposing not only the youth but the whole community of Compton. I think there's this ignorance when it comes to golf that a lot of people don't know about, and they kind of say it's corny, but they don't even really want to try it. So trying to break down these proverbial walls, right, and get people exposed and uh, give people information to help them understand the benefits of being in the golf space really important to me. So
So, and through that, Compton Country Club was gave birth.
yeah, yeah. Compton Country Club. Yep, Compton Country Club was birthed out of. initially the initiative, but like the idea of this oasis and what I thought, like I say this sparingly, but I felt like, this golf space, the golf course specifically, could be like a little Wakanda, right? You know what I'm saying? Like a sustainable golf course that's high tech, that's a place where community can come. There's resources, there's high level education support. There's all these different things that come and stem and branch out of just this space, this green space of golf, and I wanted it and I desire for it to be like a high tech facility, and like all the new innovation in golf planted on one like green space. And I felt like that slate of land, the Compton Part Three, could leverage.
And what can you talk about the process and what it's been like? Um, and because you didn't mention the land aspect. So like when did the land become available? Like what is the
Yeah.
process you're going through right
So
now?
so the Compton the golf course has been closed since 2020. The land was available back then, but um, for people that don't know, there's been a lot of turnover in the city from city officials and different things like that, different city managers since 2020 to till now. And so there was just a lot of turnover. And it's just so interesting how the Lord moves because God's timing is always divine. I think when I came in 2023, uh, there was a couple entities that wanted to get the golf course. They were trying to get the golf course, but I think they were scared away by the city politics, and so they just fell by the wayside. So it opened up this opportunity for this young kid who is audacious and has big dreams to be like, I got God on my side. I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So um, that led to um, just me digging in with reaching out. So I literally got on the Compton City website. The first person I reached out to was Jonathan Bowers. He responded immediately. I was like, look, like um, I have this nonprofit, you know what I'm saying? Like, we really want to get the land. Like we want to redevelop this golf course, which led to an interview with ABC News. And they like highlighted what I wanted to do and then had a little clip on social media that kind of went viral. And like the awareness started to percolate and it started to go around. And so uh, that led to me putting together a proposal with some help, and I submitted the proposal last year, probably I want to say around August, and I never received a response back. So uh, the dynamic with the city has been kind of weird, if I'm being honest and transparent. It's been very cautious. I think they are trying to understand if I'm like in it for the long haul too. I think that, they probably get a lot of proposals that people come in and say they want to do things and they don't got all their ducks in a row. And so for me, um, I I'm like any means necessary. So I'm showing up to city hall meetings and speaking and having meetings with the city manager or a meeting with the city manager like, yo, like this is what I got, the team, like this is not a game, like this is for real. And uh and so it's been a lot of work. The land's still available. Now they've opened it up for what they call a ROI, which is request for letter of interest, which is, the language is not favorable, because they're opening it up to other land developers and like commercial real estate and different entities that are able to come in and do like probably big projects. But my I trust God, man. Like I believe that God's gonna just see it through, bro. Like I don't know why, but when like I said earlier, that peace that surpasses all understanding, like when I hear all these like, oh, when's the golf course gonna get open? Blah, 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 all these questions, like, oh, what's gonna happen if you don't get a golf course? Like I have a pivot, but I'm not even thinking about the pivot because God didn't take me this far to leave me here. You know what I'm saying? Like he wouldn't do all this in such grandiose fashion for it to just fall by the wayside and for it to just be like a what if story. You know what I'm saying?
So, what type of impact do you think this will have on the city?
I think it would change. I think it's going to flip the city upside down. I think it would genuinely, you know, golf is $80 billion industry. You know what I'm saying? Like it's 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 stupid, and I don't really try to talk about the money. Like I'm talking about just the impact from the morals and the integrity aspect and the characteristics of the game. But like think of your favorite entrepreneur and they probably play golf. And if they don't play golf, they have somebody in their direct circle that plays golf. Like when they say deals are done on the golf course, yes, it's like that's where individuals can let their hair down. Like I was blessed, I was able to caddy at Bel Air Country Club, and that's another reason why like I feel so confident in the way I move as well is because I'm able to speak the language. I'm able to go into these rooms and talk to these one percenters and not have like anxiety. I'm like, you're just a person. Like, I watch you hit shank 5 balls on a golf course. I'll wax you. So, you being a business person don't mean nothing to me. Like, although, you probably have some successes. Like, again, I got God on my side. Like, I'm not really tripping about that. But it has allowed me to be able to step into rooms with confidence and be like, this is what I need. This is what I want. And, help me. If not, on to the next. I've been telling Aaron Grimes, shout out Aaron. We talk and I tell him like, bro, like the train is moving and it doesn't double back. So you can either get on the train. I'll open the door because I know how powerful this movement is, and but it doesn't double back. So what it could do for the city, I think it will flip the city upside down. I think you'll see a change and a shift, and it doesn't have to look like gentrification. It could be like pride of ownership. It can be individuals that are in the city that have big dreams, have big visions that can come to the table and say, look, this is what we want our city to look like. Let's change it. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I think the catalyst, putting a golf course in any community is going to change the perspective. And when you have a golf facility to like I envision, we're gonna get tourism from all around the world. They're like, man, I'm going to Compton Country Club. I'm flying into LA. I'm driving to Compton. Who really says that? Nobody really. Like I'm driving to Compton to go play golf. Like, yeah, that's the energy I want. Yeah, I want Compton Country Club to be global. I want it to be one of the top par three courses in the world. That's the vision.
And all this is amazing. I'm just saying, like, I'm like, yes, yeah, yes, yes. Put on for the city, yeah. You know what I'm saying? God forbid something happened. This is it. Your last words. What would you tell people? What was the encouragement that you would give to others?
Jesus is real. Jesus is real, and Jesus can provide with whatever you want to do. I think that's it. Like he's real, um, and he's around you every day. I think that's it.